Throughout the history of film and television, we've seen plenty of character types introduced. From the anti-hero, the love interest, the antagonist, to even the femme fatale. The femme fatale is a female character who is naturally attractive, seductive, smart, elegant, and bold. However, beneath their looks, this same character can be evil, narcissistic, controlling, and manipulative, as her goal is to bring down a man or men that she meets along her journey. This is usually accompanied by murder, lies, and betrayal, as these same themes can be found in the television series Desperate Housewives. And in the series, we are introduced to a wide variety of women throughout its runtime, from the standard mother of Lynette Scavo to the clumsy neighbor of Susan Meyer to even the materialistic Gabrielle Solis. However, as the series progressed, there were a handful of characters that fit the mold of being displayed as a femme fatale. From Edie Britt using her sexuality to get whatever she wanted in return, to Catherine Mayfair's secret past, and more noticeably with the character of Bre Van de Kamp, as her perfectionist image on the outside, yet criminal acts behind the white picket fence, showed what truly lied behind the curtains in the Van de Kamp home. Which brings up the question, is Bre Van de Kamp a femme fatale? Before we get started, if you're new here, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming film and television content. Introduced to audiences during the 1940s and 1950s in the film noir genre, the femme fatale is someone that grabs everyone's attention during her first impression and strives to maintain her pristine image and appearance, all while she hides her true identity from the public eye. And Bre Van de Kamp constantly maintains her picture-perfect image throughout the series, even despite the immense amount of trouble that she endures along her journey, as her image and appearance includes being the perfect wife and mother. Coincidentally enough, it's been well noted that Bre is displayed as almost the forgotten housewife that we saw during the 1950s. Whether this was her pastel-colored cardigans, her perfect hair that never seemed to move, and her desire to be a lady. For Bre, it's always about keeping up with her appearance and her family's appearance towards her friends and the residents of Fairview. We first see this in the first season when she covers up her divorce with her husband Rex, simply to keep her image pristine.
Please hurry. If the kids see you sleeping down here, they're gonna start asking questions.
Let them ask. I don't care anymore.
Well, I care. They don't need to be burdened with our marital problems, and while we're working things out, the least we can do is try to keep up appearances.
When we are first introduced to the character of Bre Van de Kamp, she is portrayed as the perfect housewife, as her constant image throughout the series consisted of a wife who had everything in order, someone who was polite, well-dressed, had developed good relationships throughout the city of Fairview and in its church, someone who was classy, elegant, and cooked gourmet meals daily. It's well documented that Bre maintains an image of perfection about herself, but she tries to keep the same image and reputation for her dysfunctional family as well. As in the pilot episode, we can see just how gloomy and depressed her family truly is. Bre displays this aura of presidential standards, as she can almost always be seen throughout the series wearing well-tailored outfits and provides baked goods for new neighbors. And as the series progressed throughout its 8 seasons, Bre would face an arc unlike any other character, as we watch her reputation, image, life, and standards fluctuate throughout the 8 seasons. However, underneath this perfect image of Bre, she can also be displayed throughout the series as independent, tough, resilient, someone who's well-versed in firearms, as she owns 4 guns and she's also a member of the National Rifle Association. Bre is also someone who is extremely controversial, as throughout the series, she encounters numerous situations that definitely damper her perfect image. We watch her abandon her son on the side of the road, watched her lean towards alcoholism after the death of her husband Rex, pretend to be pregnant with her daughter's baby to maintain her perfect image, look down on her son Andrew for being gay, and is an accessory to murder multiple times throughout the series with the deaths of Carlos's mother and Gabrielle's stepfather. But yet, despite these difficult situations that Bre had put herself in, we can often side with Bre and root for her even when we know she is in the wrong, as this very well fits with the theme of a femme fatale, as the femme fatale will usually make the audience and her lover feel pity for them even when we know she's the villain. And throughout the series, Bre has also this Black Widow effect attached towards her, Later in the series, we see yet again just how controlling and narcissistic Bre is and can be when she forces her husband Orson to admit to his crimes and turn himself into jail in order to save her reputation, as this situation displays just how selfish Bre is. Because of this, we constantly watch Bre suppress her emotions to present herself as the perfect housewife. But not only is this done towards herself, it's also for her family and her friends. In the final season, we are finally treated to the upbringing and childhood of Bre. It's here where Bre suppressing her emotions makes total sense, as her mother taught Bre all about displaying a mask towards men that consisted of a smile, resulting in men never truly knowing what Bre is thinking or how she is feeling. And when we look back, her mask provides dominance and control specifically over men in a variety of situations throughout this series. Of course, this ties into the Femme Fatale character and why the traits of the character fit the mold of Bre Van de Kamp perfectly, as one of the Femme Fatale character's main traits is control and manipulation over men, but also hiding their true identity. But not only does Bre find herself in complete control over men, she also does so with her family. In the early seasons, Bre is in complete control over her 2 children, Andrew and Danielle. She forces them to become someone they're not, only to make it look good on her own end. This causes her children to act out and go the complete opposite way that Bre wants them to. Whether this is Danielle having an affair with her history teacher and becoming pregnant, or Andrew drifting towards alcohol, taking advantage of his mother and his rebellious lifestyle. Another trait of the Femme Fatale is being sexual, and she can often be seen using her sexuality as a weapon to get what she wants in return. And nowhere do we see this more than in the final season of the series, where Bre goes through a sexual phase of having one-night stands with strangers to fulfill an empty void of her friends abandoning her. We also see this during Bre's brief affair with Carl Meyer, who happens to be her friend Susan's ex-husband, as Bre and Carl simply look the part of a noir film every time they're together on screen. Whether this is Bre wearing a dress with her hair done up or Carl looking like a private detective while wearing a tailored suit, it just works. In Desperate Housewives, this trait of the Femme Fatale is visible in multiple characters. There's also the obvious character of Gabrielle Solis. While many, including her mother-in-law, viewed her as a gold digger, Gabrielle is the materialistic form of a Femme Fatale. Oftentimes, we watch Gabrielle use her sexuality and devious manipulation to receive gifts, dinners, designer clothes, jewelry, cars, and sex in return from either her husband Carlos, her gardener John Rowland, and later her fiancé in Victor Lang. This materialistic version of the Femme Fatale can also be seen in the characters of Edie Britt, and later in this series with the character of Renee Perry. Despite these traits, the main trait of the Femme Fatale character is murder, as her main goal is to try and kill her boyfriend, husband, or lover, simply to get what she wants in return. We see this in Double Indemnity with the character of Phyllis Diedrichson, as she plans to kill her husband for life insurance money. And in Desperate Housewives, while there is certainly our fair share of murders, Bre Van de Kamp never commits murder herself. However, we watch her become an accessory to murder twice throughout the series, as she discloses of the murder weapon of Andrew's car after he had killed Mrs. Solis, and later in the final season, she comes up with the plan to hide and dump the body of Gabrielle's stepfather. We can also see the theme of murder attached with Bre earlier in the series, when she chooses to ignore George's cry for help and watches him die. One of the key traits that pairs with the Femme Fatale is how compelling she can be, and throughout the series, Bre is the most fascinating character out of all the women on the show. She grows tremendously from being the selfish individual that only cared to save her reputation for her own well-being, to eventually opening up and becoming a more genuine person, as she sacrificed the woman she thought she had to be, that was installed by her mother, and we watch her grow into someone we never thought Bre would. In the end of the Femme Fatale's journey, she is usually faced with 2 possible endings. It's either death or losing control, but Bre ultimately does come out on top despite staring jail in the face throughout the final season. However, as she progressed in life, she ultimately loses the complete control that she always had in her life, by realizing that she simply cannot control everything, thus resulting in somewhat of a demise but also a realization for Bre. We see this when she finally realizes that she has a problem with alcohol. She realizes and admits that she needs help, Shockingly, she doesn't come to terms with herself to save her perfect image. She does so because it will help her live a better life, whether this is with Orson or simply with her friends, as she was taught by her mother to hide everything that she was feeling in order to make it feel like she was in complete control. She also does this in season 2, when she comes to terms with Andrew's sexuality. It's in these moments where Bre understands that not everything is about her or revolves around her world. Her values, standards, her commitment to being the perfect housewife held herself and her family back from happiness. In many ways, with Bre being the perfectionist that she is, makes being a responsible parent incredibly hard. And throughout its runtime, Desperate Housewives sprinkled in its fair share of film noir stereotypes. From the mysterious character backgrounds, the murders, the lies, the corruption, the romance, police investigations, and the betrayal. Throughout the many relationships that she endured, traumas, her battle with alcohol, being an accessory to murder multiple times, multiple relapses with alcohol, and having her friends and family turn their back on her, we always found a way to sympathize and root for Bre despite knowing what lied inside her elegant home. Evidently, this is what a femme fatale is and is perfect at. She's a delusional, greedy, narcissistic, and selfish woman who lures men in thanks to her sexuality to receive anything for her own well-being. Whether she does this with Rex, Orson, or even Carl, they fall right into the selfish, manipulative, and controlling trap that was Bre Van de Kamp. But yet, just like all the men in her life, the audience too are so captivated by how compelling Bre was. We simply cannot decide whether we love her or hate her at the same time. And that's what makes Bre Van de Kamp the femme fatale of Wisteria Lane. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comment section below. I had a lot of fun making this video, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like. For more film and television analysis, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.